Hi everyone. Our subject today is about Christians, Zionists. Now, while there is nothing particularly new about the Christians' fascination with the biblical Holy Land, an important contemporary portrayal of the means by which this has been molded to enhance the political legitimacy of modern Israel, showing the growth of a cult of Israel among the ranks of born again Christians in the United States of America. This phenomenon contrasts sharply with the position of the mainline Protestant and Catholic churches, whose official denominational statements, especially since the 1967 war, have kept their distance from what they see as militant expansionist Israel. For some US Christians, though the Israeli capture of Jerusalem was a portent of the end times, which would include a final earthly destruction just before the second coming of Christ and the establishment of a new kingdom based in Jerusalem. For Israeli political planners, psychology of religion took on serious strategic import. We read in Ezekiel, in the Bible, in Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, that describes a nuclear war to some Christians, saying there will be torrential rains and hailstone, fire and brimstone, and great shaking of land. Now, members of Gentile Zionism, which means Christian Zionism, by the millions, with traditional Israel support circles in the United States, have their religious broadcasters who daily fill the archives with an unchallenged Armageddon theology, in which Israel is the site for the final battle between forces of good and evil. Reverends of caliber promote the Jewish sovereignty of all the land from the Nile to the Euphrates and consider a must to support the government of the US, their government, saying in terms to support our government as it supports Israel, which means if it supports Israel, we have to support our government. And you all know the unlimited support the USA has for Israel. Those fundamental Christian evangelist members believe that they must fulfill the biblical prophecy of fighting World War III, preparatory to Christ's second coming, and for that, an alliance of the new Christian right and militant Zionists who share a common belief and enthusiasm for a global Holocaust took place already years ago in the United States, of course, which is alarming. This has become vital reality that became acceptable civic behavior in contemporary political debate shaping the US policy toward Israel. The political influence of these evangelists, together with the Israeli lobby, and along with the assertion that Reagan's policies regarding military spending and disarmament are largely subject to his alleged belief in the inevitability of a God-willed nuclear war. The irony is that associations of churches councils in the US and in the Middle East denied the attitude and behavior of those evangelist Christian Zionists, abusing the Bible in order to promote the legacy of the State of Israel, influenced by a Jewish theologist whose name is Thomas Weidman, was living in London, England in 1607, saying in his book called Apocalypse, God wants the return of Israelites to Philistine so they worship God from there because God wants to be worshipped from there. Some superstition and nonsense. So while persecuted in Eastern Europe and Russia, the Jews fled to Western Europe, plotting for their Jewish state, alimented or fueled with, nourished rather, with Balfour Declaration in 1917 and realized in 1948. Today, 40% at least of the Jewish population lives in the United States. And since last century, plotting for their state and promoting the coming of their Messiah, which is considered stupidly by those evangelists as the second coming of Jesus. And things are mixed up with the Armageddon superstition of World War III and the nuclear age of such war of destruction illuminated in the hearts and minds of those dummies evangelists and started lobbying, both of them, the Israelis and those Christian Zionist evangelists, lobbying religiously and politically with their count of no less than 17 million Americans, only the Americans, to support the State of Israel, Holy Land, occupied for the sake of kingdom of heaven and rule of Jesus, which is a nice fairy tale or a night story for children. The thing is that this is igniting the Middle East from time to time and fueling a never-ending conflict for two nations and for the whole world that will probably keep on perpetuating until the end of times. Thank you.